Why can dung beetles navigate by the stars? These tiny creatures have a unique ability to use the stars as a compass. At night, they look at the Milky Way to always move in the right direction and stay on course. This is especially important when they transport their precious dung balls over long distances, as these provide them with both food and protection. Surprisingly, scientists have found that their eyes, while not highly developed, are sensitive to starlight. This celestial navigation helps them stay oriented even in the complete darkness of deserts and savannas. How did London almost start growing pineapples in the middle of winter? In the 17th century, the English wanted pineapples so much that they started building special greenhouses to grow them. These greenhouses, called pineapple houses, were heated with coal, and it could take up to 2 years to grow a single pineapple. Considering that pineapples were a true rarity back then, they were given as royal gifts, symbolizing luxury and status. Can cockroaches survive a nuclear explosion? Cockroaches have long earned a reputation as super survivors, capable of withstanding even the most extreme conditions, including high levels of radiation. But is it true that they can survive a nuclear explosion? In reality, cockroaches can indeed survive radiation exposure, but there are creatures far better adapted to this, like certain types of fungi and microbes. Nevertheless, cockroaches remain a symbol of resilience, able to survive conditions that would kill most other living creatures. Hard to believe, but snakes can sleep with their eyes open. Snakes don't blink because they don't have eyelids. Instead, their eyes are covered by a transparent scale. During sleep, their eyes remain open, giving the impression that they are always watching their surroundings. This feature helps snakes stay alert to threats, even while resting. The transparent scale also protects their eyes from dust and dirt, which is especially important for desert and forest dwellers. It's an incredible adaptation that allows them to sense danger, even in their sleep. Did you know Venus spins backwards? Unlike most planets in our solar system, Venus rotates in the opposite direction, meaning the sun rises in the west and sets in the east. Scientists are still unsure what caused this bizarre behavior, but one theory suggests that Venus may have collided with a massive asteroid long ago, altering its axis. And here's another mind-blowing fact. A day on Venus is actually longer than its year. Why a cat's brain is 90% like a human's? Surprisingly, despite their size, a cat's brain is 90% similar to a human's. While cats don't solve equations or read books, the structure of their brain, especially the cerebral cortex, is remarkably like ours. Cats can experience emotions such as joy, fear, and even jealousy, making them far more complex than they might seem. Their ability to learn and remember is impressive. They can associate specific actions with rewards, similar to how children learn. So, perhaps your little kitty is much smarter than you think. It just chooses not to show it. Did you know that squirrels can cause power outages? It turns out that cute, fluffy squirrels can cause significant damage to the power grid. In the United States, about 10 to 20% of all power outages happen because squirrels accidentally come into contact with wires and electrical equipment. These little mischief makers love climbing power lines, sometimes touching dangerous parts of the equipment. This leads to short circuits and outages that can affect entire cities. Who would have thought that such innocent-looking creatures could cause serious energy problems? Next time you see a squirrel on a tree, think about its potential as a saboteur. Why was Stonehenge really built? The mystery of Stonehenge has puzzled scientists for centuries. One theory suggests it was an ancient astronomical structure used to observe celestial events. Research shows that Stonehenge was aligned with the summer and winter solstices. Another hypothesis proposes that it was a place of healing or a ritual complex. Despite numerous theories, the true purpose of this ancient monument remains a mystery. Being born on February 29th is a 1 in 1,461 chance. People born on February 29th belong to a very rare club, as this date appears on the calendar only once every 4 years during a leap year. The odds of being born on this day are about 1 in 1,461, That means only about 0.068% of the population celebrates their birthday on February 29th. They often joke that they age only once every 4 years. Some throw grand parties to mark this special day, making it an even more memorable celebration. Who would have thought that jellyfish are 95% water? Jellyfish are almost ethereal in appearance, and no wonder, 95% of their bodies are made of water. This high water content allows them to float gracefully through the ocean, moving with the currents as if weightless. Despite their simple structure, jellyfish have existed for hundreds of millions of years, perfectly adapted to life in the ocean. Their delicate watery forms remind us of the fragility and beauty of marine ecosystems. Did you know that the Tower of London was once bright white? In the Middle Ages, the Tower of London wasn't grey as it is today, but instead, it was covered with a white plaster, earning it the nickname White Tower. At that time, white plaster symbolized strength and purity. Every few years, the tower was repainted to maintain its bright appearance. Over time, the coating wore away, and the tower became grey due to dirt and pollution. But once, it really was a gleaming white pearl on the London skyline. Did you know that Alfred Hitchcock was terrified of eggs? Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense, terrified millions with his cinematic genius. But he had a peculiar fear himself. He was scared of eggs. Hitchcock admitted that just seeing a cracked egg filled him with dread. For a man who created films that left audiences on the edge of their seats, this phobia seems completely paradoxical. How could someone who made us fear shower curtains and shadows be afraid of something as ordinary as an egg? It's one of the more surprising secrets of the great master of horror. The inventor of the Super Soaker water gun worked for NASA. Who would have thought that Lonnie Johnson, the creator of the famous Super Soaker water gun, was an engineer at NASA? Johnson worked on developing advanced technologies for space missions, such as the Galileo project to Jupiter. But in his spare time, he developed toys, and one of his ideas became a global hit. The Super Soaker became an iconic water gun that kids around the world played with. This example shows that innovation can come from the most unexpected places, and an engineer's genius can create not only space technology, but also unforgettable childhood moments. Is it true that humans can see more colors than most other mammals? Human vision is far more advanced than that of most mammals. Our eyes have 3 types of color receptors, known as cones, which allow us to perceive thousands of shades. While many animals see only in black and white or can distinguish just a few basic colors, humans can enjoy a rich variety of hues. For example, dogs see the world mostly in shades of yellow and blue, while we can perceive the full spectrum of the rainbow and beyond. This amazing visual perception helps us navigate the world and appreciate its beauty. Hard to believe, but there's a flying snake in Africa. In Africa, there's a snake known as the tree glider that can move from branch to branch, almost as if it's flying. It flattens its body and uses it as a parachute, covering distances of up to 20 meters in the air. These snakes use their flight abilities to escape predators and quickly move between trees. They look like creatures from a sci-fi movie, but this is the reality of the wild, where anything is possible. Can it be true? Saudi Arabia imports camels from Australia? Yes, it's no mistake. Camels, once brought to Australia from the Middle East for farming and transportation, are now being exported back to Saudi Arabia. Camels have thrived in Australia's environment, and their population has grown significantly. Now they are exported back to the Middle East, where they are used for similar purposes. Surprisingly, Australia is now a global leader in camel exports. Who would have thought that these desert animals would complete such a unique historical cycle? Cucumber versus watermelon. Who wins the water battle? Believe it or not, cucumbers contain more water than watermelons. While we tend to think of watermelon as the most watery fruit, cucumbers actually contain 95% water, while watermelons have around 91 to 92%. This makes cucumbers slightly more watery than their red counterparts. So, if you want to quench your thirst on a hot day, a cucumber might be even more effective than watermelon. It's amazing how such simple vegetables can hide surprising facts. Why do you think lightning can strike the same place multiple times? Contrary to popular belief, lightning can strike the same place multiple times. For example, the Empire State Building in New York is hit by up to 100 lightning bolts every year. This happens because tall buildings and structures attract electric discharges. The tops of these buildings are equipped with lightning rods to protect them from strikes, making multiple lightning strikes not just possible, but common. Did you know that there's a stone forest on Earth? In China's Yunnan province, you'll find one of the most unique natural phenomena, the Shilin, or stone forest. This astonishing forest isn't made of trees, but of towering limestone pillars that rise towards the sky like jagged spikes of rock. The age of this extraordinary forest is over 270 million years. Erosion from rain and wind has sculpted the rocks into such bizarre shapes. For centuries, people have attributed mystical powers to this place, and local legends claim that spirits of nature inhabit Shilin. It's so majestic and mysterious, it almost looks like a set from a fantasy movie. Can you imagine that some fungi control insects? Deep in the Amazon rainforest lives a fungus called Ophiocordyceps, which literally turns ants into zombies. The fungus invades the ant's body and takes over its mind, forcing it to climb up a tree before it dies. Then the fungus sprouts out of the ant's head and releases spores to infect others. It sounds like a horror movie plot, but these fungi really exist, and it's one of nature's most mind-blowing phenomena. Why do different countries have different-sized banknotes? Banknotes in various countries are sized differently to help people with visual impairments distinguish them by touch. For instance, in the United States, all bills are the same size, but in euros and British pounds, each denomination varies in length and width. This helps not only the visually impaired, but also everyone else quickly differentiate denominations without looking. Additionally, it adds protection against counterfeiting, as counterfeit bills rarely match the exact sizes of the originals. Did you know that France sent a cat into space? In 1963, France launched Félicette, also known as Astrocat, into space. Electrodes were carefully implanted in her brain, allowing scientists to receive neurological signals during her voyage among the stars. Félicette bravely journeyed into space and miraculously survived the mission, becoming the first cat in history to venture beyond Earth. She not only etched her name into the annals of space exploration, but also showed that animals have been important pioneers in human cosmic endeavors. Why are honey mushrooms considered the largest living organisms on the planet? In the forests of Oregon, there is one of the largest organisms on Earth, the honey fungus Armillaria ostoyi. This fungus covers an area of over 9 square kilometers and has been growing for thousands of years. Underground, it forms giant mycelial networks that connect trees and other plants. Above ground, it may look like just a few mushrooms, but beneath the surface lies an enormous network rivaling the size of large cities. How about this? Dubai has an artificial archipelago in the shape of a world map. The world is an artificial archipelago consisting of 300 islands designed to mimic the outlines of all continents. Each island is intended for private homes or hotels, and owners can choose their country. This project reflects Dubai's ambition, creating incredible landmarks out of sand and water, making them iconic attractions in the region. Did you know there are about 4,000 satellites flying above you? Currently, over 4,000 active satellites are orbiting Earth, performing various tasks. They provide GPS signals, weather data, telecommunications, and even climate monitoring. But that's not all. Each year, more satellites are launched into orbit, raising serious concerns about space debris, which could threaten future space missions. Did you know that some frogs can freeze solid and still survive? It turns out that certain frog species, like the wood frog, can completely freeze during winter and come back to life in the spring. These amazing amphibians can survive sub-zero temperatures by freezing almost entirely solid. Their hearts stop beating, they stop breathing, and their bodies turn rock hard. Yet, When the weather warms up, they thaw and return to their usual lives, hopping around like nothing happened. Nature's cold storage system proves that frogs are some of the ultimate survivors. Why do snails bury themselves in the ground? The snails we often see after rain don't just dig into the soil for fun. It's their way of surviving extreme conditions. When it gets too hot or dry, snails create a special mucus plug to retain moisture in their bodies and bury themselves to endure the dry periods. This process, called estivation, is a type of summer hibernation that allows snails to survive harsh seasons. Have you ever wondered if sand can turn into glass? Glass is made by heating sand to a temperature above 1,400 degrees Celsius, at which point it melts. The result is a material that looks completely different from the original sand. This process was discovered in ancient Egypt and is still used today to make everything from windows to high-tech smartphone screens. So ordinary sand literally transforms into a transparent material that has changed our world. Can you imagine the world's longest traffic jam lasted 12 days? In 2010, China experienced the longest traffic jam in history, stretching over 100 kilometers and lasting an incredible 12 days. The traffic jam occurred on the highway connecting Beijing and Inner Mongolia, caused by a combination of road accidents and a massive number of vehicles. Some drivers were stuck for so long that they had to negotiate with local villagers for food and water. This event became a true test of patience and endurance, and remains one of the most epic traffic jams ever recorded. Did you know the world's largest crossword puzzle has over 66,000 squares? In 2015, Japanese puzzle master Nomio created the world's largest crossword puzzle. This gigantic puzzle boasts 66,666 clues and 93,700 squares. It took 4 years to complete and was displayed in a Japanese shopping mall. Today, it's preserved in a book form, giving puzzle lovers a chance to marvel at this monumental brain teaser. Earth's gravity. Why isn't it the same everywhere? Have you ever wondered why gravity varies slightly in different places on Earth? It turns out, this is due to many factors, such as altitude, the density of Earth's crust, and the distance from the equator. Gravity is stronger at the poles and in places with denser crust, like mountain ranges, because these areas are closer to the Earth's center. Conversely, gravity is weaker at high altitudes, such as on top of Mount Everest and near the equator. These variations are caused by the distribution of mass on the planet and the fact that Earth is slightly flattened at the poles. This highlights the complexity and uniqueness of our gravitational field. Now you know, in some places on Earth, you weigh a little more or less than in others. The Great Barrier Reef, a giant natural wonder. The Great Barrier Reef is not only the largest living structure on Earth, but also a bustling underwater city where thousands of species of fish, coral, and other marine creatures reside. It stretches over 2,300 kilometers along Australia's coast and is even visible from space. This natural wonder plays a crucial role in maintaining the ocean's ecosystem by filtering water and providing shelter for marine life. Unfortunately, climate change and ocean pollution threaten its existence. Scientists worldwide are working to preserve this astonishing underwater world for future generations. Believe it or not, birds can talk. Many species of parrots can mimic human speech, but not because they understand words. They memorize the sounds and rhythms they hear and repeat them with surprising accuracy. Moreover, some parrots can remember and reproduce dozens of phrases and even sing tunes. This ability has made them popular as pets, as they can mimic entire sentences from their owners, adding funny and sometimes unexpected elements to conversations. Did you know there is no concept of sound in space? The vacuum of space does not transmit sound waves because there are no molecules to carry them. This means that explosions or loud events in space, like in sci-fi movies, would actually be silent. If you found yourself in open space, you'd see flashes and movements, but you'd hear absolutely nothing. So space isn't just dark, it's also eerily quiet. Why does Turkey build palaces for stray cats? In the streets of Istanbul, you can find miniature houses that look like palaces, built especially for stray cats. The locals consider cats sacred animals and care for them with great love. Some of these houses even feature carvings and balconies, with food and water bowls nearby. These cat palaces have become symbols of Turkey's respect for animals, and tourists often admire these little masterpieces around the city. Horsepower, more than just a name. Did you know that a horse can produce a lot more than just 1 horsepower? The term was coined by Scottish engineer James Watt to compare the power of steam engines to the strength of a horse. It turns out that a single horse can actually generate a maximum output of up to 18,000 watts, which is roughly equivalent to 24 horsepower. This number depends on factors like the horse's size, breed, and physical condition. While we often use this unit to measure cars and machinery, its origins tie us back to the era of steam engines and the Industrial Revolution. Can you imagine that the moon is slowly drifting away from Earth? Each year, the moon moves about 3.5 centimeters farther away from Earth. This happens due to tidal interactions between the Earth and the moon. Billions of years ago, the moon was much closer, and in billions of years it may drift out of Earth's gravitational pull altogether. Though this process is incredibly slow, scientists track it using lasers and reflectors left on the moon by the Apollo missions. Ready to walk the entire Great Wall of China? If you're planning to walk the entire length of the Great Wall of China, prepare for a monumental journey. The Great Wall stretches for over 5,000 miles, or about 8,000 kilometers across China. Walking the entire distance could take around 18 months, walking every day. The Great Wall is not just an ancient feat of engineering, but one of the world's greatest wonders, offering breathtaking views and glimpses into China's vast history at every step. Believe it or not, polar bears have black skin under their white fur. A polar bear's fur may look white, but underneath, its skin is actually black. This isn't just a natural curiosity, it's an important adaptation that helps polar bears absorb more heat from the sun and stay warm in the icy Arctic climate. It's like wearing a natural solar-powered suit that helps them survive in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Have you ever noticed that fresh, earthy smell after rain? This unique scent, known as petrichor, fills the air when rain first touches dry soil. The term petrichor comes from the Greek words petra, stone, and ichor, which is the fluid said to flow in the veins of the gods. It's as if each drop of rain reveals the earth's hidden fragrance, captivating our senses with a touch of nature's charm. Can you believe a sloth can hold its breath for 40 minutes? Sloths, despite their slow movements, possess an extraordinary ability to hold their breath for up to 40 minutes. This physiological adaptation helps them survive in the treetops and protect themselves from predators, even allowing them to stay underwater for extended periods when crossing rivers. This unique skill, developed for life in the rainforest canopy, shows how evolution has crafted these creatures to perfectly match their environment. Sloths may be slow, but their adaptations are anything but ordinary. Can you imagine a shoe the size of a car? In 2015, an Indian shoemaking company crafted the world's largest shoe, measuring a whopping 6.4 meters in length and almost 3 meters in height. This colossal shoe is the equivalent of a US size 2090 and was made from leather, rubber, and foam. It's hard to imagine anyone wearing it, but it's certainly a record-breaking feat of craftsmanship. Did you know that in Egypt, there is an ancient lighthouse that has been working for over 2,000 years? The lighthouse in Alexandria is one of the oldest structures still performing its function. It was built in the 3rd century BC and serves as an important navigation point for sailors. Although the original tower was destroyed by earthquakes, its reconstruction in later centuries allowed the lighthouse to remain operational. This lighthouse is not only a symbol of ancient technology, but also a testament to engineering mastery that has stood the test of time. Why do leaves turn red and yellow in the fall? When autumn comes, trees turn off photosynthesis. During this process, the green pigment, chlorophyll, breaks down, and other pigments, carotenoids and anthocyanins, reveal themselves in yellow and red hues. It's like nature putting on a colorful show. Interestingly, the cooler and sunnier the autumn, the brighter these colors will be. Have you ever realized that this is nature's magical performance happening right before your eyes? Did you know you might have been answering the phone with Ahoy? In the early days of the telephone, when Alexander Graham Bell introduced his invention, he suggested using Ahoy as a greeting when answering calls. Inspired by nautical language, Bell thought it would be a perfect fit for the new way of communicating. Imagine if his idea caught on. We would all be saying Ahoy every time we picked up the phone. However, Thomas Edison suggested the word hello, and it became the standard, leaving Ahoy as a quirky piece of history.